Bonjour, Danshi. My name is Matt Hilterman, and today I am coming to you from the final site of Rocky Mountain House. Now, Rocky Mountain House was operated on and off throughout most of the 19th century. It was originally established in 1799 by the Northwest Company. A few months later, the Hudson's Bay Company also arrived and established their own post called Acton House. These forts were operated less like independent trading posts and more of extensions of the HBC and Northwest Company's forts at Edmonton and Port Augustus. After the two companies merged in 1821, they kept the Rocky Mountain House name, and this continued in use until 1833, at which time the company had the bright idea of moving the trade closer to the Blackfoot. After all, Rocky Mountain House wasn't a fur trading post per se. It did trade some furs, but its main role was as a provision post, or a pemmican post. Now, in 1833, the company decided to take the trade closer to the Blackfoot and established a fort on the Bow River. It was known by the company as Pagan Post, but by the workers themselves as Bow Fort. In 1834, the employees at Bow Fort, led by John Edward Harriet, returned to Rocky Mountain House and established a second fort. Now that fort was more or less in continuous use from 1834 to 1861. However, by the 1850s, the Blackfoot trade had started to gravitate southwards towards the American posts on the Missouri River. As a result of less and less frequent traffic, Rocky Mountain House became increasingly unimportant as a pemmican post. More and more in the 1850s and 60s, trade outfits were outfitted at Edmonton and sent south from there to trade with the Blackfoot, moving Rocky Mountain House into a state of irrelevance. In 1861, the post was abandoned, and the Blackfoot, insulted by the Hudson's Bay Company retreat, ended up burning it to the ground. The company returned 3 years later in 1864 and established a small makeshift post, and that was used kind of as a haphazard staging ground, while the main post, which is what you see behind me, was constructed. It was finally finished in 1868, and it was the largest fort that had ever been built at Rocky. Part of the reason for that was, in order to justify reopening Rocky Mountain House, the company needed a reason other than just pemmican or fur. Now, Rocky Mountain House, being as far up the Saskatchewan River as it is in a more aspen parklandy area with far more trees than downriver locations. As such, it was the perfect place to work on York boats. After all, there's wood as far as the eye can see. And so, for its brief final operation from 1868 to 1875, it was used largely as a York boat factory. In 1875, it was finally closed in favor of a new fort, again on the Bow River. This one was a few miles down from Old Bow Fort, where the settlement of Morleyville came to be established. And that fort was again moved in 1875 to where Calgary is today, which in a weird roundabout way makes Calgary the successor of Rocky Mountain House.